Hello everyone and welcome back to the Magnus Carlsen Grand Final. It's the other match and the second game of the match, Magnus Carlsen versus Ding Liren. The first game ended by Ding winning the game, and now Magnus needs a win to get back into the match. And already it's quite an interesting game. I skipped the first one. First one was a pretty straightforward win by Ding. Nothing out of the ordinary there. But this one is a bit you'll see what I mean. So Magnus with the white pieces opens with d4, and we have knight to f6. But before I show you this, I just want to show you one trick that I've seen. Eric Rosen posted a video on it. I thought it was really funny. A trap against the London system. If you know that someone plays the London, try this trap against them. I've seen that it works against very high rated opponents. So the point is, after d5 bishop f4, your opponent will try to go for the London system, but you try and trick them with h5, and they will be like, what's this guy doing? They'll just continue with their London system setup, and then e5 wins the bishop. It's that simple. Point is that it doesn't matter what you do here. If you go back, then this just wins the bishop. If you first capture, then f6, you go back, g5, go back, and h4 now wins the bishop. And it's not different if you capture with the pawn. Still just g5 here, and this wins the bishop. So I thought it's really funny. And if you're a d5 player, if you face the London system a lot, do give it a try. This has nothing to do with this game. I just thought it was really funny. So here, knight to f6, we have knight to f3 and d5. Magnus goes for bishop f4. We do have the London system, and c5 by Ding. We have e3 and now e6. We have c3, strengthening the center now that the bishop has been released from the cage, and bishop d6. Ding now offers a trade of dark square bishops, and knight b to d2. It's not a problem. You can allow this trade, even though it messes up your pawn structure. You will have a firm grip of the e5 square. And here we have c captures on d4. It's actually a new move in the position. A lot of moves have been tried here, but this early capture is a new move. So already as of move 6, we have a completely new game. Bishop captures on d6 first by Magnus, but now a nice Zwischenzug by Ding. D captures on e3. Asking Magnus, what do you do now? Do you want to recapture here and then I claim the bishop? Or do you want to save the bishop and I'm going to capture the knight? So Magnus says, okay, I'm going to go back with the bishop because now you will not be able to castle. And Ding says, okay, e captures on d2 with check, queen captures, and the knight to c6. So Ding will now most likely castle queenside. It's very unlikely that you will be able to do this. So Magnus immediately goes queen g5. As if you don't, then black might have some ideas of going knight e7, blocking the bishop, and just castling. So here queen g5, rook to g8 by Ding, guarding the g7 pawn, and now bishop to d3 by Magnus, with h6 pushing the queen back, queen e3, and now queen to b6, offering a queen trade. Magnus not interested, he is down a pawn. So queen back to e2, and now bishop to d7. Ding is now ready to castle queenside. We have castles kingside by Magnus and castles queenside by Ding. And now, as usual, when we have kings on opposite sides of the board, it's very often a race, and it's every tempo counts. So here Magnus already starts pushing with b4. Next, he's gonna move the bishop, play a4, hopefully something like b5, a5, and so on. So here a nice prophylactic king b8 by Ding, and now b5. And this is a very nice move because the knight doesn't really have any good squares. This is taken by the knight and the queen, this is taken by the bishop, this is the rook is here. So the only square you have left is the a5 square, which is what the Ding plays. And now knight to e5, as the knight no longer guards the e5 square. And now the bishop is being threatened, also the f7 pawn is under attack. So bishop to e8, and now comes bishop to b4, preparing to push the pawn all the way to a4. We have rook to c8. Now here Carlsen's plan is you want to push c4 at some point. This, and this guards the c4 square, so c4 is coming. You might want to even prepare it with rook to c1, but it is coming. So first we have rook to c8 by Ding, adding additional protection to the c4 pawn, and now a4 before deciding on that. Here we have knight to e4 by Ding, giving up a pawn. But it's hard to find a move for Ding here. Nothing seems to be working, as you can simply wait and see what will happen. The knight doesn't have a good square to go to. You could go to b3, but the rook will just attack it. Other than that, not really. The bishop cannot move, otherwise you lose this. The rook cannot move if the bishop doesn't move. So it is a very weird position. A nice queen c7 waiting move is probably the way to go for Ding, but Ding decides to go for an active knight to e4. It sacrifices a pawn in exchange for playing f6. He wants to get rid of this strong knight from the e5 outpost. And Magnus says, all right, bishop captures. We have captures and now captures on e4. And now f6 by Ding. Now, is this one of the positions where it's actually okay to play f6 or not? Feel free to pause the video and find out for yourselves while I give you a couple of seconds. A little hint, it's definitely not. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting the only winning idea for Magnus here. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's queen to h7. And it's a beautiful move because the rook is under attack and you don't really have all that many good moves. What could you play here? Like you could try something like rook to f8, but then the bishop just picks it up, so the rook doesn't have any squares. And the problem is you can't really move the bishop to connect rooks because this is covered by the knight and this is covered by the pawn, so not really. And of course, if you play something like bishop h5, then just knight here checks the king, forks the queen, and it's game over. So here, after this f6 move, Magnus indeed played queen to h7, attacking the rook, but now for the lack of a better move, Ding played knight to b3. He attacked Carlsen's rook, but now Magnus goes queen captures on g8. Ding also picks up a rook, knight captures on a1, but now for the final time, pause the video and find another winning idea for Magnus while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on paying attention, as we've already hinted this. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, eliminate the defender of the d7 square. So queen captures on e8, a temporary queen sacrifice, after which it was in this position on move 24 that Ding Liren resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. You're up so much material. There's no good move for black here. Like you could do whatever you want, but nothing really suffices. Like if you capture, then just knight d7 check, forks the king and the queen, and after this or whatever you're just gonna capture, or even better here, so you can recapture with the king. Captures, and now that's just it. Rook captures on a1. You're up a whole piece. And without much compensation. And on the other hand, after this queen captures on e8 move, you could play something like f captures on e5, grab this piece, but then just queen e7, and still you're not really doing all that much here. For example, knight to b3 or to c2 doesn't really matter. You're gonna go bishop d6 check. You're gonna win this pawn. You're gonna win this pawn, and it's just a very ugly position. For example, king e8. You're gonna go bishop captures on e5, and well, not much to be done here. I mean, you could continue it, but it's not something to continue, because how is this knight coming into the game? Like, this is covered by the queen, this is covered by the queen, covered by the bishop, covered by the pawn. So one simple move like rook c1 will simply eliminate it. So it's not even possible to continue this. So yeah, after this queen captures on e8, Ding resigned, and Magnus equalizes the match. And I will spoil the result a little bit. Games 3 and 4 were drawn, so they have to go into blitz tiebreaks, but we're going to see what happens there, and most likely cover some of those games as well. So once again, I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank a mystery person, Andrew Darcy, Leslie, Liam Vedmeyer, and Andrew Wilson for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to cover these miniatures from the Magnus Carlsen Grand Final, checking up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your Sunday.